Welcome back to Business is Messy. Yes, this time it's Colin and Brian Nolan. You may remember that we did a Business Messy series several years ago, and it was Kevin and I. Basically, Kevin would share the messes, and I would clean them up. Well, Kevin is now done from the mess. He's retired and living his best life. And I am here with Colin Nolan. Welcome, Colin.
Thank you very much. I'm just here to set picks and roll and, be the point guard distributor, whatever you need here. You're the real star of the show here.
Oh, Brian. Not at all. Not at all. This is a treat. It's actually our first podcast that he and I are doing together. That's really weird. We were just saying,
yes,
but so we're going to start this Business is Messy series because you can't expect to grow a big business and not have messes. And it's really how you clean them up. It's how you deal with them. It's how your mental attitude is capable of not letting it ruin your day. Probably why I like the book, The Obstacle is the Way, so much. That's a Ryan Holiday book.
Well, and when you hear about other people's messes, it makes you feel good about your own, right?
Yeah.
Misery loves this company, but hear about other people's challenges and problems and how they're dealing with it, then what can you learn from it?
Exactly. Yeah. You can take that away and start to really look at it as a case study, because the case study is coming to you. You know it's going to happen. You know you can't grow a multi-million-dollar business and not expect people problems, money problems, etc. So today we have 3 messes. Oh man, they're a mess.
Only 3.
Only 3, because we don't want to do all the messes in one podcast. We'll be coming on, I think this series is going to be once every 2 months. We'll be doing a Business is Messy going on. And it really stems from coaching calls that Colin and I have had with people that we coach and helping them work through messes. And so the first mess we're going to handle is business development. Prospecting, call it what you want. The second mess we're gonna try and clean up is family business and related succession planning. And the third mess is really, it's a very big word. It's accountability. It's like quality. What does quality really mean? Accountability. So we're going to dive deep into those. I'm going to interview Colin first on this biz dev issue because he's like, when we were talking about this, he's like, man, do I got things to say here. What are you seeing here, Kyle, and hearing around biz development right now? Is this topic frequent in your coaching calls?
Yes. So I don't know about you, but with a lot of the coaching calls that I was having in January, we're recording this now in February, but throughout January, people, some people were from a lead standpoint, some people were doing well, some people are slow. Across the board, though, it's safe to say that a lot of sales reps had time on their hands. So that I was getting a lot of questions about business development and how can we be generating leads and how do we do this and how do we do that? And people all of a sudden have a large interest in doing business development. And it's one of those things where you're showing up to the race on the race morning, but you haven't put in any training. It's like now that you actually need the leads, now that we're in the winter time and when we need to call on people, we don't have anyone to call on. The work that we should have done 8 months ago, the seeds you wanted to put in the ground 8 months ago, you're trying to harvest. There's not nothing to harvest. So, better late than never. If you've never done any business development and prospecting, sure, January is a fine time to start. But the problem that I run into is we get all gung-ho about business development and prospecting, particularly this time of year. A, because the leads are slow, but B, we just came out of annual planning. People are thinking strategically, they're thinking long-term. They're not thinking about putting out fires, they're thinking about being proactive. So business development is a great topic. People love talking about it. And then it gets to June, July, August, and people are busy, or April even, and people are busy and sales reps have tons of leads. It drops off the radar from a priority standpoint. People don't care about it anymore. I've even had clients say they don't want their people doing business development in the summertime because there's leads they have to get to. And that's just such a short-term mindset. So for me, it's been not difficult conversations, but it's been conversations around, hey, all right, let's talk about business development. Let's talk about how do we set up a system here. You need to commit to this for the full year. If we're going to implement this into your sales team, are we going to have the same energy in June that we're having right now?
Is there a system?
Well, of course there's a system.
So talk about that system and why it's so impossible to implement across the board. I often say, out of all the systems that we teach and coach, this one has been the most difficult to see people do.
Well, it comes back to the psychology of who these salespeople are. And you bring on these salespeople that are goal-oriented. You give them sales quotas they have to hit every month. You give them leads. Focus on closing. You focus on how to overcome objections. Everything you're teaching them and wiring them to is around getting sales. It's about getting that dopamine hit. When I hit my goal, about when I get the sale, I feel good about myself. And then we're trying to have these same dopamine wired salespeople that are looking for sales and feel good about sales, and I get a commission on sales, to now go out and, hey, just so you know, what winning looks like this week is talking to 3 people, or it's taking 3 different people to lunch. That is winning. And when you're wired to get sales, that like it totally does not compute. So the drive is not the same.
So there's an automatic dopamine release when they're getting a sale.
Correct.
And when they just have a conversation with someone, like they want that dopamine, and it's not there.
You may take someone to lunch this week that has no material benefit to you, A, ever, or B, for a year or a year and a half. And it's a difference between a hunter who goes out and like, I'm going to get this kill. I'm going to get this sale. I'm going to bring it back to my cave. That feels good. I got this kill. And someone who goes out and they plant.
So are we talking different people then? I hear this conversation a lot. Brian, are they different profiles?
They don't like you can, I'd say the best hunters and the best farmers are different profiles. But can you do both? The answer is yes. Are you going to be better at one? Yes, you will be better at one. But it's the messy bit is when the engine comes to a screeching halt, like it did for some of my clients in mid-January, and we're going, we got to do business development. You're in a couple nights trying to take these hunters and make them go out and develop relationships. And it's like, this is not compute. It's not something that you can really do haphazardly. It's kind of what I'm getting at here. Like this has to be a coordinated, long-term strategic initiative of, we're not just going to do business development in January and February.
It's a rewiring of your brain so that it's not always looking for a dopamine release that day. It understand. Basically, it's the second marshmallow.
It is the second marshmallow.
What is that?
And for people,
explain that. Yeah.
Well, yeah, the second marshmallow. That was just that's the age-old delayed gratification test that you would do for little kids, right? Where if they can wait 5 minutes, they can have a second marshmallow, or if they can have one now. If they eat it now, they don't get the second one in 5 minutes. Right?
What's important to note is Colin did this to his son Graham. He put Graham in a room.
I'm not sure if it was even a marshmallow. Maybe it was like a piece
of
candy.
No, it was amazing. He sent us a video. And Graham is going to be great because he waited. He looked, he fidgeted. So, Graham, if you wait 3 minutes, don't eat that. You get a second marshmallow. You can eat that one now, but if you eat it, you're not going to get a second. And then Colin walks it out of the room. And this is a person who has a time span. This is a person who's thinking ahead.
Ideally,
this biz dev rep understands the big game hunt. So then not just the squirrel hunt.
If you don't have those people, if you only have short-term people, does that mean you can't do business development and prospecting?
It just means that you haven't set up a right structure for it, sounds like.
You have to change the whole game.
Change the whole game. Steve Talkington did something at Lancaster Painting. He has them on Tuesdays. No sales rep gets an appointment on Tuesdays. It's a book of business day.
I have clients that have done a similar deal.
Yeah, and he now swears by it. He requires that his reps get 30% of their own leads. Other contractors that I work with have brought in just specifically business development people, and they have an estimator work with them to do the bid.
So what worked about what Steve did? Why did what Steve is doing work?
Well, he really created a system, and then he held them accountable to it.
It's the accountability piece, which is the third mess that we're going to get to.
Mess.
But like set your people up to win here. So discipline gives you freedom. When you have discipline and you hold people to, we are not going to do estimates on Tuesdays or Wednesdays. You have to go out and do business development on those days. And you hold them to it, they have no choice but to go and do it. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
The problem comes in June when it's like, we have 17 leads I need my sales rep to go on this week, and he can't do any on Tuesdays.
Yeah, I think you need to just hire one more sales rep so you can leave Tuesdays open or whatever the case may be.
But then what do I do in the wintertime, Brian, when I got 4 sales reps and not enough leads for all of them?
Well, so they're working relationships. Let's get back to the system. Every sales rep should be working 30, 40 relationships that they're becoming friends. And Mark Repkin has a great tool that he introduced, and we work with him on making the actual tool where he has a point system where you show evidence of a relationship that's moving up the ladder from a new acquaintance to a peer to a fan. And there's like specific evidence that shows that. Because how long do you keep a biz dev rep? There's a question for you. So a lot of people now are hiring business development people only, particularly large commercial contractors with complicated estimates. It's like, I need to have an estimate. How long do you wait before you know that the person is for real? Because there's messes. People on too long.
I mean, it'd be great if there was a clear-cut answer on this that everyone could go, all right, Brian Collins said 6 months. That's the number. Got it. Done. Problem solved. If they don't work out in 6 months, I can fire them. I mean, the real answer to that is it's not really, to me, it's not a time answer. It's a behavioral answer.
Activities and behaviors and evidence.
If after 6 months they're doing everything right and things just haven't popped yet, I'm not gonna I've gone on these meetings with them. I'm seeing how they're working people. I'm seeing how they're establishing relationships. Nothing's popped yet. I'm not gonna fire them. Whereas somebody could have walked into a sale, but not doing the behaviors. Well, they made a sale, so I'm gonna keep them around. To me, behaviors are so much more important. Cross sales, but particularly on business development. And if they're doing the right things, then you give people more of a rope. But when it comes back to it, Brian, around how to get your team engaged on this, I think one of the big hurdles that business owners or sales managers have to overcome is the sales rep that sits back, crosses his arms, and goes, "Just give it a month. This'll pass." Yeah,
May's almost here.
It's almost May. Once the lead calendar fills up, he's not going to be on our case anymore about this, and we can just go back to going on appointments.
And the best reps, the best commercial reps, at least, they don't want leads.
Well, that's totally different animals, right?
Those are surgeons.
Yeah.
I've known these people. These are your $4 million salespeople that are working a relationship list and activities and dates and follow-ups, and they are working it because they know the prize. You can make a lot of money winning that prize.
A couple of things to kind of close us up on this topic. I'd say if you're going to do it, if you're going to get into a culture and you want to establish a culture where your company does this type of thing and they establish relationships and they get their own leads, this cannot be a slow time deal. This has got to be a year-round effort. It's 10 or 15 minutes every single sales meeting. It's not just when things are slow in January and February we do it. It's got to be a culture reset of the sales team, which is really difficult to do, right? You're going to have to outlast the sales rep you have who's crossing his arms going, just wait, this will pass, right? It's not going to pass. Tell them it's not going to pass. And then when you hire sales reps, A, hire sales reps so that you're not in scarcity, but B, let them know from the outset you're not getting any appointments on Tuesdays. And when you hire people with that expectation in mind, it's a lot easier to get the culture you want than changing one where everyone's getting their own leads. You got to do a culture reset. You got to bring people in with that expectation.
The culture reset board, does that resonate? I was with a client last week, and I think they realized that they didn't have the right sales culture. A lot of the things you were saying here is evident there. So I worked years ago with Steve Talkington on developing a world-class sales culture, and I sent it to them, and it's like, boom, it blew them away. You've got to reset it. And they even said, maybe we need to start over and replace. Mm-hmm. Sheldon Stewart, several years ago, replaced his whole sales team. It's like, this is not working. This is not the culture that I want. Relationship sells, and people are waiting to take orders.
Yep.
Okay. We could go on longer there, but we won't. We'll save more messes in the business development world for later. Family business. Yes, Colin.
Family business. So, Brian, family business, this is a topic that you're always passionate about. I guess my question would be, well, why now? Why is this a mess that you are deciding now needs to be addressed?
Maybe because I have 4 families that I'm working with, and I'm trying to help them through some difficult time. Now also because maybe it's the age of some of the parents, it's the succession years, and our own family is going
silver
through
wave, right, as it's called.
The silver wave. And so how do families, and even put the silver wave aside, how do families navigate? Like a good sort of marriage, if a marriage is really good, it's amazing. If a marriage is bad, it is like the worst thing in the world. And the same can be said with family business. If family business is great, it just feels all in line. If it's bad, it can ruin the family completely.
Families break apart and fall out without any business involvement at all, right?
That's right.
There are families that don't get along and don't talk to each other, and they don't work together, and then you throw in the whole business component, and it could be a powder keg. Why do you think, why are family businesses, this is a little bit more holistic, but why is it such a draw? Why do people have this draw to work family business? Why is it something that happens? You always hear such and such company is family owned and operated since X is a badge of honor. People are gravitating towards family run businesses.
They are, because it seems like it's the right thing to do. Spend more time with family, right? But here are some of the problems that I see. Here are some of the messes. There's some entitlement in the younger generation. Roles.
I wouldn't know anything about that.
You would not. Not you. I was not at all referring to you.
I was surprised to see that on the list.
Roles are blurred between home and family. I mean, is a dad controlling who's the caretaker, who's the hero, who's the clown, who's the problem solver, who's the truth teller? Like you're a truth teller. Colin will say like it is. So there are good roles and bad roles, and they merge in a way. Sibling rivalry. I'm lucky that I don't think I have that here in Nolan. Money problems, a husband and wife at night, maybe the wife's a bookkeeper, and man, it just brings it home. Compensation disparities. Let's give so-and-so a job because he needs one. Boundaries, talking about business around family when some people aren't in the business and some are, and the people who are not in the business are not feeling as if they're part of anything. They're just not significant. Ownership questions, lack of clarity that where the leading generation does not write down those things. So it can be just a mess.
So there's no shortage of potential issues here.
No.
It's amazing that any of them work at all.
And I've got to tell you, this is sort of a pessimistic attitude. More don't than do.
Yeah.
Because people think it's going to naturally work because we're a family. So they don't go in with a checklist of family business systems that we need to put in place. And business should serve the family.
Is that a family thing, or like most things eventually reach their end? Like partnerships. Like if two people partner in a business, eventually the visions no longer align.
That's true.
Like almost every partnership that I've ever known eventually has, some separate amicably, some don't separate amicably. But in the family businesses, there's an expiration date at some point on every family business. You can't just keep going on and on and on forever.
What's interesting is sometimes though the dad or mom isn't clear on that expiration date. Like, a year ago, I thought I was clear with my 2 kids, and they told me I wasn't. So I was like, okay, then I guess I'm not. So we spent a lot of time last year writing a succession plan, a shareholder plan, and putting those things in place. So here I am, I'm coaching it, and I realized, and I thought I had been clear. And when I meet with families, I often ask the parents, do your kids know when they're going to become owners? Yeah, I'm pretty sure they do.
What's the biggest issue with communication?
You make up stories.
Yeah, so the answer is the illusion that it's occurred at all. Like, I think I've communicated it. Whenever I ask a question, someone's like, yeah, I think.
Because it's in my head, it's my movie.
Why don't you know? Like, if the answer's not, yep, I told them, then you have a problem.
You're absolutely right.
Like, anytime someone says, yeah, I think so, you're like, well, why are you leaving this to chance?
Yeah.
And this is not just family business thing. This is like, have you told your employee Joe that you think he's doing a great job?
Yeah.
Yeah, he knows. Does he? Are you sure? Why are you leaving that up to chance?
Because somehow inside of our own brains, we're playing a movie, and sometimes we've even deceived ourselves that I've communicated this to people. I wrote it down. I wrote down a plan. I wrote down a timing of when ownership is going to be, and I think I just want to point out a few.
How do you even begin to start to address all the issues?
Well, you start with what you always say, with your values. Between a rock and a hard place, you go to your values. And that seems to create an emotional bond. And then you create the reality that business is a game. Family is love. And this business needs to serve us. So are we getting on the same page? We're having family meetings where we are communicating overtly, and a facilitator is making sure that is communicated. We're writing down the pathway to shares. We're creating a organizational chart that doesn't have Tom in 6 roles and all over the place. He's clear in what he does. We have employee agreements family agreements that denotes when a family member can come work and when not just because they need a job, but because there's a vacancy. So, and then we have boundaries and covenants. And so these are family business items that I think every family who shares a business together needs to take a time, or else the business could ruin the family.
So
that's preposterous.
And what you're working with a lot of families right now. You're helping with a lot of different areas. What's the lowest hanging fruit in your opinion? If from all the issues that you've seen, what 1 or 2 things could somebody implement that would, obviously nothing's going to solve everything, but be a good start? Really
common ground is values. Because the biggest problem is my mom and my dad, and I've got some resentment from them from years, and I carry that over to my business. If I'm a kid, I see this. So we don't know how to talk to each other.
And that comes back to family values?
Well, I would start with meetings and family values. Family meetings that include the business, but are not just about the business, that include what we would call first-round draft choices, spouses, etc., So because they're also curious. They don't want to just hear about the business to their spouse who's coming home complaining. And also understanding what our primary aims are and what each person really wants out of life. I think the primary aim and the family values is the grounding we need to have conversations. Yeah.
Okay. So similar topic is Succession, not the TV show that had a lot of family business issues, but actual succession of businesses. How are people like yourself, the leading generation, screwing this up in terrible ways?
Well, the saddest way that I see actually is where the leading generation or the person leaving, and this is not just family business, right? Does not have a second mountain. They do not have a second purpose. If you founded a business and you retire, you just don't stop having a purpose. And I've heard someone else say, maybe I need to just pick up pickleball. Like, okay, that's cool.
That'll solve everything.
Yeah. But I just wonder, and it's sad to me when you're done with work that there's not. So what else are you going to have? So that's probably the biggest mistake.
At that point, is it already too late?
Probably. But it's not too late if you get some counseling about it.
For people that are 10 years plus from leaving their business, I think that's the best piece of advice. Is to not make your business the whole thing.
Well, man, that is huge. Now you're getting into identity role, where my identity is so wrapped up in my role. I've been working on this because I am not terrific at it. I've made a lot of strides in the past year, though. And so, it is 7 years out. And I've found my second mountain, right? It's a foundation, and I dedicate a lot of time to it. So it gives me a lot of purpose. So, yeah, you got to start. The other problem that I see leading generations not doing is not letting go of control.
Well, because they don't have anything else to grab onto.
Right.
Yeah, I think it really does come back to that. It comes back to
it's that dopamine thing again.
I don't want to let go because the only thing that's going to make you stop doing something or change is to move towards pleasure or away from pain. And if I'm not moving towards pleasure of going after my second mountain, I get to do more time with my foundation now. I'm going to be really happy doing that. So I will let go. If you don't have that pleasure that's pulling you to something else, then what's going to make you eventually let go is the pain and the fighting and the tough years where you're not letting go, and the next generation is upset with you and they're arguing, and eventually you're like, fine, you know what, I'll leave.
Right. You don't want me, I'm not good enough anymore, so that all of a sudden they feel no value.
So you're leaving from pain. So leave for pleasure.
Oh, it's a really, really great takeaway there. I see the leading gen, one day they're like, I'm going to step away. It's time. And they get away, and then something happens. And then they jump back in again the next day. I can't leave yet. I'm too important to leave. And the next generation is like trying to figure out what's going to go on. Mm-hmm. I mean, you and I are going to work. We're working over the next 3 years here for this intentional succession. And we have work to do. Yeah. And that includes me talking less. I'm a high I. People know that. And I can take up the oxygen in the room. And if I'm taking up the oxygen, you're not. So, and people who know Colin, I mean, if you saw his keynote that he did with me, I mean, he has been preparing for leadership for really the past 5 years. And it's probably it's the happiest thing I could be that my kids are taking over the business. I never really expected that to happen. And I tell you, it's more emotional than it is intellectual in terms of the leading gen being able to do this.
One thing I'll say on succession before we keep going on it, or potentially move on, is eventually everyone leaves the business. Like one day I will not work for Nolan Colin Group anymore. Could be next month, could be next century, could be anywhere in between there, right? All of us are not going to be in the business anymore. And the sooner that you acknowledge that and realize there is a life after this and start preparing for that, the better it's going to go.
No question about it. No question. So I think we need to begin to identify the skills that only the leader has, and the leader has to work at placing those skills in a very intentional way, just like family business. There needs to be a succession system that is talked about.
It's very easy to kick the can on this,
yeah,
because it falls squarely in the non-urgent, highly important range. So it's good to have someone hold you accountable,
totally,
to what you know is right. And that's a great segue, Colin, into our next topic, which is what?
Accountability. What a mess! I hear this all the time. People aren't accountable.
Well, I think it's funny that you put this as a topic, because I'm seeing it in a unique way right now the last couple months, but you start on it.
Well, no one takes care of equipment. They leave a job site a mess. No one steps up when I'm gone. Vehicles aren't cared for. Employees don't follow up on customer issues. No one's wearing safety equipment. They just never turn in their their paperwork. They won't self-generate leads. We've talked about this. They told me they would, but they won't. No one's accountable for anything around here. What do I do to get accountability? Do I need all new people? Do I need new systems? Do I need to lead differently? What do you think, Kyle?
Yeah, so this came up a lot in the last month and a half, just from all the annual planning, right? When you're doing a lot of year in review, doing a SWOT analysis, weaknesses, you'll start to see things like pre-job walkthroughs aren't being done well, or X, Y, or Z is not being done well. And there's all these different, I mean, you went and you listed, right? People leaving job sites a mess, vehicles aren't cared for, yada, yada. There's a lot of different symptoms that pop up. And eventually it's just like, at the end of the day here, it's not that these things aren't getting done, it's that there's no accountability. Like that's the over-encompassing theme. It's like an acid that gets in and erodes every system that your business has. So you could go and make a weaknesses list in a SWOT that has all these different weaknesses. But the real weakness is that no one's holding people accountable to running the systems that we know exist and have to be run. Why is there no accountability? Why are we allowing this to happen? And I'm someone that typically hates the cliches around self-improvement and business and stuff. But the one that really hits the mark here is you get what you tolerate. If you tolerate people not following through on systems, not dotting I's and crossing T's, they're going to naturally, it's human nature to just push the envelope a little bit more. It's like I always, now that I have kids, I always relate everything back to my kids, and I hope it's not demeaning to anybody because I'm comparing them to a 3-year-old. But it's like, my son is always going to see how long he can push bath time. Like, if I say this, or if I do this, can I keep watching my show and not do bath time yet?
Yeah.
Like, it's his nature to keep pushing the envelope. Like, no one wants to do a pre-job walkthrough every single time. They're going to push the envelope to see if they can get away with it one time. And if they're not being held accountable to doing it, that's something that I just remembered, and I'm going to push even further next time. People are always going to push the envelope. If you allow them to keep pushing it, eventually they're going to be 100 yards past the accountability line. And then for you to bring them all the way back to what you know is right, to holding them accountable, it's going to be a massive shift. And it's going to be people losing their jobs and people quitting because it's a massive shift now. All of a sudden, you're going from letting people get away with things here and there that added up to now all of a sudden we're holding people accountable and now people have to go. And this actually happened with one of my clients where they realized that they were not holding people accountable. There's a culture of being too nice and not holding people accountable because I can't be nice and hold people accountable. And they called themselves out on it at the annual planning meeting, and we committed as one of the big rocks is accountability. We are going to hold people accountable, no longer going to confuse niceness with allowing people to push the envelope and not follow systems. And they literally got on a call with me the other week and said they had to fire one of their longtime crew leaders or job leaders, whoever it was, because they crossed the line, they were on a PIP, they did something they shouldn't have done, they had to do it.
Wow. I heard something recently, the difference between being nice and being kind. Being kind is actually giving feedback. Being nice is not the right answer here. Being kind is. When you talk about accountability, I think there's top down and bottom up. So top down is management, how I hold them accountable, consequences. I get what I tolerate. I want to come at it from a different place. I want to come at it from the bottom up. The problem may be an absence of caring. Like,
do you think it is you think that people don't care?
Yeah, it could be like accountability. Like, the definition of engagement is what people do when no one's looking, and doing the right thing when no one's looking in favor of company goals.
Yeah,
mission.
It's their discretionary effort.
That's what it is.
They could give it or not give it. It's not going to really impact.
What do I do? And so if excellence or if engagement is one of my values, have I operationalized my values? Have I spoken enough about those values that people get it? Have I cared enough for my employees so they care back? You can get anything in the world you want if you give people what they want. And so do you understand them so they're going to care and use this discretionary effort, as you say? But, also in accountability, you may have prima donnas that you just need to deal with. Like maybe it was that person, prima donnas, top left quadrant, low values, but they're a performer, but nothing applies to them.
I mean, there's even people who aren't prima donnas. They'll try and shirk accountability if you allow them to.
They will.
And then they're going to see other people shirking accountability, and it's going to become a culture of, well, they don't have to do it, so I don't have to do it.
So it's your job to know the difference.
It is.
Between those two.
It is.
So what do I need to do? I always say, as a leader, if there's no accountability, what do I own here? What do I really own here? In addition to there's a consequence to that. You're on a PIP or whatever it may be. Have I communicated clearly? One of the favorite things that I heard, I forget who said it. It was you probably.
Yeah, it was me. It was definitely
you.
me. Yep.
It was after you make an assignment, after you delegate something and you explain it, what do you do, Kyle?
You ask them, hey, repeat that back to me so I know what you heard.
Yes, not in a demeaning way, like tell me what you heard, but hey, I'm trying to communicate better. Can you tell me what you heard? I actually just did this at a meeting and they got it half right. So let's do it again. And so have you communicated? Do they know exactly? People are playing their own movie in their head and your information coming in and they're processing it. You just can't assume they heard what you said. Also, I think people could be overwhelmed. And so I think you need to start as a leader saying, what am I accountable for? And that's being a better leader.
If you have a company culture right now, if someone's listening to this, Brian, and they're like, I have an issue with accountability in my company, where do I start? How would you recommend going about fixing it?
So I would say I would take a couple of people are having problems doing this, and I would say, okay, can you tell me what you heard? Because I think I'm having a hard time communicating clearly. And I would say, great, I would write that down. And then I would say, can you follow up with me and close that loop on Tuesday? And then if they didn't call on Tuesday, now it's a broken agreement. And I'd go up to him and I would struggle. I thought we had talked about this. What happened between then and now? What would be different going forward? That's where I would start. I wouldn't start with pips and things like that. I would start with me and being clear. I would share a culture of accountability so people know what accountability means and how important it is. Where else would you start, Kyle?
I think that's a big part of it is, hey, so I've not done a good job here holding people accountable to things that they commit to. That's on me. I've allowed it to happen. We're going to change that. It starts with me, and now it's going to everybody else. We need to get agreement first. Now that we're taking this as our initiative, let's get agreement on what we're actually going to do. So, like, I'm going to go back to just to keep it simple, like pre-job walkthrough. Hey, let's get on the same page here about what a pre-job walkthrough is, when it should get done, and exactly the system that we want to run. Now let's talk about what are we going to do if it doesn't happen.
Nice.
What's going to happen if you guys say you're going to get it done or you're going to follow it and it doesn't happen? What should we do? How should I hold you accountable?
I love that. What should we do?
And then when eventually someone does not do what they agreed to, that's where you have your first test moment. How, like, do you actually have the conversation?
You said I should write you up. I guess that's what we should do. All right.
Exactly.
So how can I help you now get past this? That's really, really good.
Yeah. So getting alignment with them on what's the standard. The standard is the standard. Do we all agree this is the standard? This is what I'm going to be holding you guys accountable to. It's what you need to hold your people accountable to. Here's how I'm going to hold you accountable.
Beautiful.
In our weekly meetings, our monthly meetings, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And we will be coming back to this.
You know, so many people have accountability as a value, but I don't know. It
sounds nice.
Yeah, it does sound nice.
Yeah.
I don't know that they've had the discussion you and I just had about having a discussion with your people, what it actually means.
What's the so what?
Yeah. So what now?
It's great that we have all these SOPs. It's great that everything's documented, but if no one's actually following them, what's the point?
Yeah, man.
So what's the so what?
Yeah.
So a lot of times people will be like, well, what's the job of, like, so you have someone who's doing the front line work, whether it's a laborer or a painter, right? You have somebody overseeing them who's running a crew, and then you have the field manager level. It's like, well, what's the job of a field manager? It's to make sure all the systems are actually being done the way that they're designed to be done. Like, that is a job. It's auditing, it's protecting the brand. Like that is a role that has to be done. Like they're one of their chief things is accountability.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. So those are the messes today. More messes to come. There'll be safety messes, and there'll be financial messes, and team messes, and vehicle messes, accidents, and you name it. We hope to help clear the pathways so that you can, number one, deal with them better and maybe avoid some. And so if you have a mess, please send that in to us at info@nolancg.com, or send an email to Brian or Colin, and we'll deal with the mess on the next call.
We can if we don't get any emails, we can make some up. We can pretend like people emailed us in.
Okay.
This is a great question from a Brian in Lafayette Hill.
That's my town, by the way.
Great question, Brian. Thanks for your email.
That's good. Brian says.
Yeah.
Hey, Colin, a pleasure doing this with you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, we'll see you again until the next mess. Continue to be bold and brave and strong.